Hoops, the Sea Eagles. Now, you've done a bit of digging today or throughout the week about them and where they sit at the moment, and apparently they are quite frustrated with DCE and his lack of, I would say, I don't know, to make a decision here and to tell everyone what's actually going on, who he's playing for next year and how long that is and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah, if I was Manly, Braith, I think they've got to make the tough decision and the hardline decision. They need to take the captaincy off Daly Cherry-Evans and make Jake Trbojevic the leader of that club, because he's the spiritual leader anyway. There's all sorts of factionalism and infighting at the moment. And yes, from what I can gather, I think in those 7-minute speed dating egg timer meetings that went on last week, the reviews, I think that Anthony Seibold did speak to Daly about moving, like just ending the distraction, because he's getting asked about it at every press
So has Seibold gone to DCE and said, mate, we've had enough?
I don't know if he said we've had enough. I think he said words to the effect of, we think it would help the group, the team and the club if we could draw a line under it and we had some clarity, right? Yeah. And that everybody can actually try and get our season back on track.
Do you know what DCE said?
Well, he hasn't been forthcoming, has he? Because we haven't heard anything about... He's going to the Roosters, we all know that, but he still doesn't want to, for whatever reason, he wants to go on with the game.
See, fellas, this is the situation, though, the way I saw it, when all this broke in and around DCE's contract. At the time, I was a firm believer that DCE needed to stand down from the Queensland State of Origin team to not only prove to the wider public, but also every single Manly fan that he was invested in trying to win this premiership for the Sea Eagles. Now, he didn't do that, which is absolutely justifiable on his behalf. We then see him drop from the Queensland Origin team. His form has never been the same this season ever since the contract saga, and now we have this situation where the club is having internal talks about stepping away from the captaincy. How this has been handled has been nothing short of shambolic, really.
Why is that?
Well,
you mean they're signing
the entire situation from day one on and until now, with still no clarity around DCE's future, it's ridiculous.
So you mean shambolic from DCE
club
or the
and
club?
Player. Club and player.
50-50?
Yeah, I would argue that. Yeah, in relation to this is one, he's a club legend, and how it's got to this point in time to Hoops's development that they're having discussions about stripping him of the captaincy now. I mean, they shouldn't be happening to a club legend halfway through a season.
So who should have made the call, man? Like, should DCE have said months ago where he was going, or should the club pressed him months ago, and made him make that decision, what are you suggesting?
They've used kid gloves on DCE to try and propel him through this year. That's what I believe.
It's backfired, you think?
And it has. Well, clearly it has.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I'm just asking.
The other harsh reality is it could well end up costing Anthony Seibold his second coming as an NRL coach, because they need to win Friday night against the West Tigers and they need to back it up again the following week at Brookvale in front of their home crowd at 4 Pines against South Sydney. If they suffer 2 bad losses, I think the drums are beating, and I think that Manly may well make a tough decision.
Well, the perception is that some of the players are off the coach and some of the players are off each other. Is that true? Like, is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's true. I don't think, I've said it previously on NRL 360, I don't think Jake Trbojevic and Daly Cherry-Evans see eye to eye since Daly's decision. I don't think Jake's a massive fan of Anthony Seibold at the moment. I think Tommy's struggling with him to a degree after being shifted to the centres and the review that he had last week. And they're not the Lone Rangers either. Like, it's not a good setup.
Oh, it's not, what you just said to me, it sounds horrible. And it probably explains why they are where they are now. It feels like it's like they've got to go backwards to go forwards here. Like, this is a bit of a mess. Like, even if they get rid of the coach, if the players, if they're off each other and not on the same page too, that's an issue in itself. You probably need new leadership to come in and just wipe the slate clean. No, like
I'd say
how's that going to change?
I'd say a bit of a mess is an understatement. I'd say it's toxic at the moment. Yes, to your question about leadership, that's why I'm saying they've got to, like, Daly, as much as he's been a great servant for Manly. He's been well paid at the same time, but he's done them a disservice this year with the way their season has completely imploded based on his decision. We've never been told the truth. We've never been told the real reasoning. Oh, no, there's no problem with the coach. There's no problem with the management. No, there's no problem with offers or anything like that. I've just decided it's my decision. I'm going in a different direction. It'll come out at some point. But it has completely derailed and destabilised the Sea Eagles season. And I don't know how you fix it.
He needed to grow up. So once he made, no one knew what happened before that, but once he made the decision, he's got to come out and just own it. And then I think everybody would move on. Has this affected Tommy Turbo? Is there pressure on the club now to sign the legend? Even though he's moved to centre, is there pressure on Manly to get some good news?
Well, I think the move to centre actually delays the negotiation phase of re-signing Tommy Trbojevic. If we think back to about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was certainly discussion at that time to push forward and try and re-sign Tommy on a new deal. We spoke about it here on the show. But now that he's moved to centre, why would Manly, or for that matter, why would his management rush to Manly to re-sign based on the fact that if he's a centre, he's not earning fullback money going forward?
But he can still earn Tommy money.
Yeah,
He's
potentially.
still Tommy.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed his name.
Well, depending on how this goes, Gordy, at centre, his influence. Well, look, clearly, we know he's capable of having an influence. But that positional change could delay negotiations, no doubt.
I think he'll get overs because of the time he's put in there and the player that he is. He'll get more than the usual centre.
Agree.
So, you know, he's not going to get... He'll get a lot less than he would at fullback, but he's going to get a lot more than the average centre, you would think, right? Or not?
I think the style of bloke that Tommy is and the service that he's already given the club, he'll understand that. He understands the stage that he's at. He's 29 now.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen him interviewed this week and he's saying all the right things and he's putting up a brave front. I thought the CEO, Tony Mestrov, probably had a little bit of a loose carry last week when he came out and said Seibs is safe at this point. And then he's tried to wind it back and hit reverse and smother it up this week with the no, that's not right. He'll be our coach until the end of 26, 27. Well, I just don't see that happening.
Well, just off the back of that, the Seibold succession plan, is Mick Innes a fait accompli or are there others in the mix?
I don't think Mick's a fait accompli. Not that Manly certainly haven't had those conversations over the course of the last 12 months. I think there's a push from the old boys for ex-players like Chad Randall, who's doing a very good job at Canterbury Bankstown at the moment under Cameron Ciraldo, started his coaching career at the Sea Eagles, and also Matt Ballon, who's up at the Broncos.
Can I just ask this question? Why are clubs doing their work in the dark? And you watch Brisbane, it's a big brand. They could have opened it up. Wouldn't you think Manly, with the club that they are, if they're going to get rid of Anthony Seibold, don't you open it up to see who comes out of the woodwork?
Yeah, I don't like the different factions of, you know, old boys suggesting this or putting this person forward. Like, as a leadership group, as a board, be professional and seek every option you possibly can and do as much research as you can to see who is the next best coach and who would be best fitted and suited to our club and what do we need in a coach that's going to bring out the best in us instead of, oh, he's an old boy, he played for us, yep, we want that. That doesn't always work.
A lot of clubs know what they want and they just go get the coach they want. Yeah. They know what their club and character is about, what they stand for, what style of coach makes this tick at our club, and they go get them. We saw it happen with the Bulldogs wanting Cameron Ciraldo. We saw it at the Sharks wanting Craig Fitzgibbon. They know what they want. Manly should know who they are and what they want.
Historically,
there's a few different ways. Some clubs just go for the new shiny toy or the biggest, you know, and best and whatever it may be, but it may not suit their club. You know, it's like players. It's what players are going to fit into your group as well, and what's going to bring out the best of the guy next to him. Your coaches are similar.
Well, in fairness, Cameron Ciraldo was the best shiny toy when Gus signed him at the Bulldogs, but the first season that he had, coming in as a defensive coach, and I think they leaked 750. It was a record number of points. I mean, like that at that stage, I think the jury was still out there. But he's since proven. He's since proven, and he took an axe to the roster.
He inherited the roster.
Made hard decisions.
But he'd done the work, you know, and it comes back to the coaches that have put the prep in, done the work, had the experience of success and failure, seen it firsthand, worked under the best coaches in the game, know how to deal with stress, know how to deal with, you know, all the tough things as well as the success that comes with the coach. And I'm not saying don't go with Randall or Ballon. I don't really know much about them as coaches. I think they're doing great things. It's more than just your old boys going, all right, well, he's an ex.
Well, on that point about the old boys, I think historically Manly's always been a club riddled with factionalism and infighting. And when Tony Mestrov came in, he made some really hard decisions. And from an outside point of view, it actually looked as though it might have settled down. And when the Seagulls are going well and when they're making finals like they were last year and they won week 1, the noise goes away. But the minute that the losses start to mount, and especially when you're losing to sides like Newcastle, the Gold Coast, and with respect, Parramatta, well, all hell breaks loose.